to the Monday, November 4th, 2019 Career Development Center Board meeting. Public comments? Seeing no public, there's no comments. Consent agenda. Minutes from the Regional Board meeting on Monday, October 7th, 2019.
I shall move them.
Second?
Franny moved.
Second.
Ken second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, raise your right hand. Believe it's unanimous. Payroll warrants, 1015 and 1018.
So moved.
Second?
Franny moved, Ken second. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, raise your right hand. Unanimous. Vendor warrants, 1016, 1017.
So
Have a
moved.
motion?
Second?
Franny made the motion, Ken second. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, raise your right hand.
I have one question about all the uniforms and that stuff for law enforcement. Is that part of the program?
It is, yes.
Okay.
A lot of our programs have a uniform of some such.
That's what I'm
Some more
figuring.
detailed there as well, yeah.
You raise your right hand, Ed?
Yes.
Then it's unanimous. In the packet for the drop box should be a cash flow and revenue expenses. Committee reports, we had none except for one just before this meeting, and it had to do with the supervisor or superintendent's evaluation. John, you're the chairman, would you please report?
Well, yes, we met, as Rick said earlier this evening, we talked about the contract requirements that we had put in Mike's contract, and which we're looking at a summary of how things were going. There was some discussion about a number of things, but in general, we felt that there was good progress being made in 3 of the 4 areas, and development was happening in the dual enrollment thing, and it was moving, but maybe a little bit slower than we would like, but basically Mike explained why some of that is, and so we felt that at this point everything was going along well in this interim in this period of time. So.
Thank you. Other than that, we're going around to action items. We have a couple of policies that we'd like to adopt, warn adopt. The first one is policy number 5080C, dress code.
I'll move it.
Franny moved it.
Second.
Ed second. Any discussion?
These have not changed from last month when we initially reviewed them, correct?
Correct. Warned them, didn't we?
Yes,
They were approved.
They were warned and now
Yes.
they're adopted.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, raise your right hand. Warn, adopt, and update policy of number 6141C, computer,
So-
network, and internet use. Franny made the motion,
Second.
second by John. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, raise your right hand. We shall move on to the superintendent's report.
Jot some notes down. So in the drop box or in your paper packet, there are a couple things I'd like to bring to your attention. The first one is an article that was published in the Bennington Banner a week and a half ago, and Ryan Scott, who is our new video production instructor, he received an award at the, I'm going to read this so I get it right. For those that are on the board for a while, you watched the Rebuilding Puerto Rico video in here from when they went to Puerto Rico last year. He won first place at the Adirondack Film Festival on October 17th from Glens Falls, and also won a second place in the, it's called the Nor'easter Video Festival Awards by the Alliance for Community Media. So there's a long article in there. I'm very proud of that. We're part of that process, and we're really glad that Ryan was recognized in a way. I thought the documentary that he did, both the 10-minute and the full video, was very powerful and moving, and it was a really tribute to the families that we helped in Puerto Rico and the kids that went. So, that that lives on, which is great. So congratulations to Ryan and those students. It was really nice to see that. Also, not in your packet, but something I wanted to tell you about. On October 25th, we held an all advisory committee meeting day in the afternoon. We had a luncheon. We had over 50 attendees from our advisory committees attend last Friday, 2 Fridays ago, the 25th. And a lot of good feedback from teachers and community members that kind of got to mingle. Meetings were scheduled from 12 to 1. Some lasted as long as 2 o'clock or so. I got a lot of good feedback. And so, Mike, could I turn my hat to you for a second? Since you were here that day.
I was here, and I thought it was a well-attended event and a unique concept to have the different advisory committees and the different programs be in the same place at the same time. I ended up seeing 4 or 5 folks from the community that I didn't realize were involved with the CDC and were on the advisory committees, and they didn't know that I was on the pre-law advisory committee, and we struck up conversations about good things that our programs were doing and ways in which we felt we could help advance the ball, and just comparing notes and having those conversations. It was, I thought it was an invaluable networking experience, and was pleased to see it appeared to me 50 or so people that were there. We all enjoyed a bag lunch together before we broke into our separate committees and had our formal meetings, and I would be in favor of doing that again as an annual thing, because I thought it was so productive.
Yeah, thank you. I'm really happy with the way that the turnout that we had. Although lunchtime feels like an ideal time for everybody, it's not always. So, all but 4 programs met, as I said, in our meeting tonight, and 2 of those have already met since then. So, that's a huge participation rate, and I'd like to thank everyone for jumping on board with that. It was an idea that was kind of cooked up at the beginning of the school year, before the school year started, with our school consultant, a little bit with the evaluation committee, and how we could drum up support our advisory committee. So that's what came out of that. So.
What are some of the takeaways that came out of there?
Well, not all the committee minutes are in yet. The ones that I've read, I've learned a lot about some of our community members that I did not know about. Some suggestions for program tweaks and maybe some future offerings, as well as some curriculum advice, and modern trends and what we're seeing. And for programs who may be having some, lower enrollment, there were some suggestions made about how we could potentially work with other schools or work with the community or the boards to help improve that enrollment. So those are kind of the trends. They were generic meeting terms. Every advisory committee had their own kind of agenda. So
How do I have to be invited if you have another?
I don't know when the next one will be, but anyone's welcome to attend and reach out to program instructors if they want to be on an advisory committee. It's not a huge commitment, but it's really important for our program instructors and us to stay current in what we're doing. So, the other thing that is in your Dropbox and paper packet is, I told you I'd have an enrollment report for you, and I have that. It's broken down by program and also by PTF, which are our intro classes. There are 422 students enrolled this semester in the center, and you asked what's that like from last year. Well, it's kind of flat, and I don't mean to sound negative on that. I was hoping for more. That's still a good showing. We haven't really lost any, if you will, per se, any numbers. Our FTE count is almost exactly the same as it was in last fall. Considering the declining population in education, I think that being able to stay flat is better than losing. So I hope for a little bit more, but I am happy to see some of these intro classes have some 40-some plus kids in them. There are a lot of students, and without pointing it out, I know there are programs that are lower, and we're working with those instructors and those programs to retool, if you will, for next year and revise some offerings for students to kind of drum up support for the full program, the following year. So we have to answer any questions on that, but we're sitting at, as of right now, 160.3 FTEs. Last fall, we were 161.9, so again, essentially flat for FTEs. Ironically, we have more students this semester than we did last fall, but remember, it's all based on the number of minutes they sit in a seat. So like the classes that we are doing for like graphic design and business management, those are all intro classes that run like 55 minutes. So well, there's maybe 40 kids in them, they don't add up to what you think they might add up to. And it's all based on an archaic, minute count. So you should be pleased with, the number of students. I am. I said I wish it was a little higher, but, when we see retirements and instructor turnover programs, they tend to have a lull in them until people get used to the new instructor, counselors and students and parents, have confidence in the program and things like that. So anytime there's an instructor change, that always happens, and, we've seen them rebound every time. So for those programs that are low for this year, I'm not overly concerned about it. They will rebound themselves. I'm confident in that. So that's what I have.
Do we have a count of how many students come into, say, Arlington and BBA and
Yep, I have
the other
actually,
communities?
I do actually have that. I chose to report out my program tonight, but I can put it in the, for the meeting for next month.
Yeah.
It breaks it down by town. I mean, it's, it's
I'm
not
just curious as to
Yep, I'll tell you.
if we're picking up more from the outlying.
We are. I looked at it today, and if you do the rough math on it, of the 420, these are unique kids, about half are from Bennington, and then that, Bennington just represent MAU, and it's Pownell, Shasberry, et cetera.
Yeah.
So those are all broken down there too. But, I was surprised that, we're kind of split halfway down the middle as far as towns go, as far as sending schools go. Of course, MAU is our largest and always will be, no matter what, probably, but we do have more students from Manchester this year compared to last year. We have more students from Hoosick Falls and a little less students from Arlington, so kind of does this. But I can get it to you next month.
That's a 50% split. That's actually outstanding in terms of future growth of the
Yes.
CDC, because at one time we probably had, 280 FTEs, but MAU had an enrollment of close to 1,300. And now it's about 850, so.
Significant declines across all schools. I mean, not just
Yeah.
MAU, it's just a population shift. So the fact that we're flat is good.
Okay, very good.
Yes, sorry about being late. I had a long meeting at the central office there. But just to add in on students, Mount Anthony is doing a real active role in a lot of discussions in terms of directing more students to the Career Development Center here. And that's been my last meetings for the last 2 months in terms of what it is that they can be achieving here and what. And I just want to make sure that our education group and committee be sort of vigilant and think outside of the box in terms of things, because we're not only at the Mount Anthony but around the state is pushing more kids into technical education along that line. And I'm doing everything I can out there and so forth, and other people are doing it to make sure that they come this way. And so we should be prepared to look at continuous growth
Yes.
in this area here and be willing to take on classes or add on different types of instructors to meet the needs of the community out here as we lose industry in the town.
Yeah, the needs change. The need change.
Right.
And Leanne, if I can add to that, I think it's a really good point. One of the things that we have come up with that we're going to do over the course between now and January is, and I'm invited to Sending School. Basically, we're going to host, in lieu of some of our faculty meetings, we're going to host, we'll call them mixers, for lack of a better term, down in the atrium. And we've invited head teachers from Mount Anthony and the counseling staff as a start, because that's as much as we can fit. And actually, all of our sending schools are invited. And we're going to do meet and greets in the atrium and to kind of help break down some potential those barriers or misinformation about, how a program fits into a student's schedule or how it doesn't fit in. And, how can we help students, through flexible pathways, graduate with the options in which they want. And so, we constantly hear, not constantly, that's kind of an overstatement, but we hear, there are teachers right next door that, oh, geez, I didn't know it was in manufacturing, or I didn't know you had that. And so to us, we're like, how did no one know that? But so we need to do a better job of kind of integrating some of that stuff together. And so it was actually an idea that Nicole Sauer and I came up with, and Lisa and Meg, and to do this mixer, you know, with the faculty and staff. I think it's a good thing for us to do, and it can only help, you know, our enrollment and information about the programs that we have to offer. So I think that's a great idea, and I'm looking forward to doing it, so.
Okay. My next comment was I didn't know, I didn't hear in who's going to the annual school board meeting this week, which is
Stole my thunder.
coming up on the 6th to 7th. But I know I'm going, and as part of that, I volunteered to participate in the podcast performance. And what I wanted to do is, I was looking for it, asked us 3 specific questions, and I have a chance to pull them all out to be able to talk about. But I do know that one of the things that I wanted to talk about in both in there and use it as an example, and I didn't get a chance to talk to you ahead of time, but the third question deals with what it is that we've done to make a difference and how successful we are at that. And I wanted to use both SVSU and the Regional Technical Center superintendent's goals in that podcast conversation that I'll be doing at 1 o'clock on the 7th of there. So I hadn't asked, but...
Leon, I could easily, for you, I can bring up the last 5 years of things that we've done, or 6 years easily, give you a list of 25 or so more things.
I just wanted you to know that that's
Yeah.
what was gonna happen, and that was taking place, and so I will be doing that, and it's sort of, I think the podcast is a
There's
film.
also, you have to sign up as a delegate to vote,
Right,
so would you do that?
that's what I was gonna say. That was my next part was saying who was gonna go, because I don't know who was.
I was going to go, but there was a death in my family, so I can't go.
So I would be a delegate to vote for both here, and we should have, I think we got somebody else from SVSU.
Art, you're going, right?
Yes.
You're going, well, Art you can vote as a, because we both can be voting. I can represent SVSU, and you can represent Career Development Center, and along that line.
So you'd vote for us?
But of course.
I think that's,
Thank
barring
you.
being late, I don't want to hold anybody else up anymore. It'll go over to the next meeting, that's all.
Do have one other thing. Back in the spring, when we set up the board again, did I appoint certain members to the ESP negotiations and to the teachers' negotiations?
Yeah.
Could you tell me who they are, by the way, Sandy?
Teachers is Fran,
Okay.
ESP is Ed.
Okay, all right.
Thanks for
Thank you.
telling me, I didn't know it until right now.
Well,
Meeting got canceled this week, so you had enough time to wait.
it wasn't very active, so I kind of forgot also, and I had a request from other people to perhaps take these positions.
Now I know why I'm
I didn't
getting all
wanna-
those emails about the ESP.
There you go.
From the SVSU. I wondered.
And where did we start? Could I ask that? Have we already started with negotiations for the teachers?
Yes,
No,
we're having a meeting, the 7th is a meeting.
Thursday,
The ESP is not going to meet, but the teachers will be meeting.
Teachers are still,
The first
okay.
meeting will be to just establish some ground rules.
Yeah.
And so, for those that,
All right. Does anybody else have any other information, discussions, whatever? If not, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Ed made a motion, Fran second. All in favor? Good night, everyone.